Have you ever had a day where the silence around you felt louder than anything else? Where you looked out at the world and nothing seemed to connect anymore, nothing seemed to matter, and you wondered if this is what emptiness really feels like? That quiet place where your mind whispers, "What's the point of going on?" It's a feeling most of us don't talk about openly, but it's more common than we think. And it doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care how much you've achieved, how loved you are, or how successful the world thinks you might be. Even someone like Johnny Depp, who has lived decades in the spotlight, admired by millions, has been through that exact emptiness. And when we hear his name, we think of the characters he brought to life: Captain Jack Sparrow, Edward Scissorhands, the countless roles that define generations. We see the charisma, the creativity, the mystery. But what we don't always see is the man behind it all, the one who has faced nights where hope seemed to vanish. It's strange, isn't it? We often think that people with fame and money are immune to suffering. But pain doesn't care about red carpets or awards. Heartache doesn't check your bank account before it enters your life. And despair? Despair can walk into any home, whether it's a mansion in Hollywood or a small apartment in the middle of a city no one's ever heard of. Johnny's story is proof of that. There were times in his life when it felt like the world had turned against him. He was judged, misunderstood, even betrayed. His personal battles weren't hidden, they were broadcast, dissected, and consumed by millions of strangers. Imagine that for a moment. Imagine your darkest days, your mistakes, your struggles, not just being known by your closest friends, but being headline news. It's enough to break anyone down. And yet, through all of that, he found reasons to rise again. That's what makes his story powerful. Because it's not a fairy tale of everything going right. It's the story of someone who faced emptiness head-on and still managed to move forward, step by step. Think about those moments in your own life. The ones where you didn't know how you'd make it to tomorrow. Maybe it was after a loss, maybe after failure, maybe after people walked away when you needed them most. In those moments, it doesn't take much to keep you going. You don't need a perfect plan for the rest of your life. Sometimes, you just need one reason. One spark. For Johnny, that reason often came through his children. He has spoken about how much they grounded him, how much they reminded him of what truly mattered. When the noise of the world became unbearable, they were the quiet reminder of love, of responsibility, of meaning. And maybe you've had that too. Maybe a loved one, a child, a friend, or even a pet has given you that small push to keep moving when everything else told you to stop. And if not a person, maybe it's something you love. For Johnny, music became a lifeline. He has always been a musician at heart, and when acting wasn't enough to heal the wounds, the guitar gave him a voice. Playing with his band wasn't just about performance. It was about expression. It was about therapy. And that's something you can relate to, even if you don't play music. Maybe for you it's painting. Or writing. Or running. Or simply sitting outside under the open sky. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be real. That's the truth most of us forget. Healing doesn't usually come from grand gestures or dramatic moments. It comes from the little things you do again and again, even when you don't feel like it. Getting up, making your bed, writing in a journal, having a cup of tea, calling a friend. Those small things keep the darkness from swallowing you whole. Johnny didn't recover all at once. It wasn't like one day he decided to rise and everything was fine again. No, it was slow. It was fragile. It was imperfect. And that's exactly why it's so important. Because that's how it works for all of us. We don't leap from despair to joy overnight. We crawl. We stumble. We take a few steps forward and sometimes a few steps back. But what matters is that we keep trying. There's a myth we often believe, that strong people never break. That resilience means never feeling weak. But strength isn't about never falling apart. Strength is about learning how to pick up the pieces, even when your hands are shaking. It's about finding the courage to take another step, even when you don't know where it will lead. Johnny's story reminds us of that. And so does your own. If you've ever faced emptiness, then you already know that it doesn't last forever. It feels endless in the moment, but even in the darkest night, there are sparks. And often, those sparks come from unexpected places. A laugh with a friend. A song that touches your soul. A child's smile. A memory that reminds you why you're still here. Those little sparks can become your anchor. For Johnny, those anchors were his children and his art. They reminded him of who he was when the world tried to define him otherwise. And maybe you've had moments like that too. Where something so simple gave you the strength to rise. I want you to think about this for a second. What's your anchor? What's the thing that, no matter how broken you feel, always gives you a reason to keep going? Maybe it's your family. Maybe it's a dream you haven't let go of. Maybe it's just the thought that tomorrow might be different. Whatever it is, hold on to it. Because that's what will carry you through. The truth is, you don't need to see the entire future to keep moving. You don't need hope for the next year, or even the next month. You just need enough hope for today. Just enough to say, I'll take one more step. I'll try one more time. That's how we rise. Not by conquering everything at once, but by facing the day in front of us. Johnny's life reminds us that even in the middle of chaos, you can find meaning. Even when the world calls you broken, you can choose to rebuild. And the beauty of rebuilding is that it doesn't have to look the same as it did before. You can create something new. Something truer. And maybe that's where the real lesson is. Life isn't about avoiding the storms. It's about finding the courage to walk through them. It's about learning that even emptiness can be the space where new meaning grows. Johnny's story is just one example of that. Yours could be another. So, think about your own journey. Think about the times you've fallen and the reasons you've gotten back up. Maybe those reasons were small. Maybe no one else even noticed. But they mattered. They saved you. And they can save you again. Because here's the truth. You are not alone in this. Even if it feels like you are. Everyone has their valleys. Everyone has their battles. And everyone, even the people we admire, has moments where life feels empty. But emptiness doesn't define us. Rising does. So I'll ask you again. What's your reason to rise? What's the thing that, when everything else feels pointless, pulls you forward? Maybe it's love. Maybe it's duty. Maybe it's just the stubborn refusal to give up. Whatever it is, it's yours. And it's enough. Johnny Depp found his reasons. And you can find yours too. Step by step. Day by day. One reason at a time. And as you keep rising, remember this, you don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to keep going. And if you've made it this far, maybe this is the reminder you needed today. That your emptiness doesn't mean the end. That even in the silence, there's a spark waiting for you. And that your story, like Johnny's, isn't finished yet.